We're back with our kingdoms.
Oh yeah.
What episode?
Oh yeah.
What
Oh yeah.
episode
We're back.
number
Oh
was
yeah.
it?
We're back.
What
This
episode
is
number is it?
episode 4, season 2, episode 4. Yeah.
Of season 2.
Season 2.
Oh, we're not going by the overall count anymore.
Well, what overall count? We haven't done any other podcasts. This is just episode 4. We didn't do an old campaign.
Season 1?
No, we didn't. What was season 1?
Season 1?
What's season 1? Huh?
Season 1?
That's I don't know what that is. That's a relic. That's an artifact.
Campaign 1,
That's
season
an
1.
artifact.
Campaign 1.
You see that
season
at the
1?
museum. That's you go to the museum. And you see all this cool shit, and then there's that really boring shit on the side. It's that. No one looks at that. You skip to the cool stuff. This is the cool stuff we're doing right now. You know? Yeah. Campaign 1's dead.
Campaign
It's
1,
dead.
season 1. Campaign 1, season 1.
It's dead.
Campaign 1, season 1.
It's dead. And it doesn't exist.
Okay, so this session we had for our 4th monthly session of the year, we had a fairly average length session, but I feel as though not a lot of plot progression happened in this session just because of the amount of banter that we had. So you wanna start off with a recap?
Yeah, we can start off with a recap. So the last session, you guys beat up a bunch of hobgoblins, right? Yeah, you disturbed them, you beat them up, and you guys said, "Fuck you, we're saving these prisoners," and you collect old Angvar to come with you, and Tom, right? Little Tom, it's a sheep.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sheep.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys bring him back to the Etten, whose name is Griggen Bop. And you give him back, you have a nice conversation. They're like, "Oh, thank you kindly." And you guys are like, "Alright, let's pull this fucking dam down." Or at least Leto is, right? He's trying his hardest to pull this dam down. He's a weak boy. He's the weakest boy I've ever seen. Which technically, I'm pretty sure he's got like the highest strength in the group. Like, just
I think
saying.
he's got +2.
Plus
He
2?
shouldn't have higher strength than Crag, who's a barbarian.
But he's got some fuck stats. He's jacked. For what he is, he's jacked, you know? He shouldn't be jacked, but he's jacked. He's got that perfect genetic upbringing lineage, you know? Fuck. Anyway. You guys are like, "Alright, let's bring this dam down." And Greg and Bob are like, "Alright, we should help you." But also, Tom said to give you this sweet, sweet fucking reward, right? And it is this scimitar and like a naginata, like a long polearm scimitar, right?
A glaive.
Yeah, like a glaive, yes. And they give them to you, and you guys inspect them. I believe Yuri and Crag sort of inspect them. Yuri more on the magical side, and Crag more on the smithing, metallurgy side. And they find that these two things are magical weapons, and that they interlock with one another, right? The shaft of the polearm is hollow, and you kind of stick the scimitar into the polearm, and there's like a twist and a click, and you have this dual blade, fucking sweet, double-sided scimitar thing with like it activates on the sides. One of them like ignites into this flame. The other one ignites into like cold flame, like frost. It's lit, right? What did you think about that magic weapon?
This is a little twin blade.
Yeah, little twin blade.
Yeah, cool. So that was like a homebrew weapon that you made?
So double scimitars actually exist as a weapon, in rules as written. There isn't any double scimitar magic weapon, so I was like, "Oh fuck, I have to make one now." So I went and made one. I called it the toothpick. No, I just called it toothpick because Greg and Bob used it as a toothpick. And yeah. So it's technically.
Is there any
homebrew.
sort of more history, more lore to the weapon other than it ending up as a toothpick for the big Etten?
There is, in that it was giant forged from a very, very long time ago, from before the Exodus, and that because Greg and Bob are sort of giant kin, they kind of inherited it. But I separate like ogres and Ettins and other giant folk from like the actual intelligent life forms, like storm giants and fire giants and ice giants and stuff like that, and cloud giants. So like while they're technically giants, they didn't get to participate in the sweet exodus, and those guys are still around, you know. And I kind of have them as these sort of inheritors, or these I guess inheritors is the best word, of a lot of ancient stuff. Like they just kind of like, well, it's kind of ours, but not really. They just kind of left it here, so now we're just claiming it as ours. And they're not smart enough to figure out what to do with it, so, you know, toothpick.
Okay, you said it was giant forge. Why would a giant forge a humanoid-sized weapon?
Well, they used to live together. They lived alongside each other.
Okay.
And I assume they would do things for each other. Every now and then, you know? You get?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was the one side was like a frost blade and the other side was a fire blade?
Yes, sir.
So what does it actually do?
You can ignite
What was
it.
the
You
effects
can
of it?
ignite each side for an extra 1d4 of the other damage of the
Okay.
respective the damage, frost damage, fire damage. You know, I think it's cold damage is technically what it's called. You know, this is something. Actually, this is a good point because a lot of, how do I say this? A lot of advice you get online, or at least a very popular opinion, is that magic items should have some sort of significance rather than just being random loot roll tables that you find at the end of a dungeon. You open the treasure hoard and it's got the flame tongue, it's got a fire, a holy mace or whatever, right?
It's just a fancy item that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, there's no what am I looking for? What's the word here? Can you help me out? Like nostalgic significance to it? Like it means something, right? Like you can
Significance is that's the word. You got it already.
Yeah, like you can look back on this thing and it'll take you back to X event in the past, right? And it's not just, oh yeah, we got this in a dungeon, right? Like you pick up toothpick and it's like, oh yeah, we got this from Greg and Bob. Remember that Eden from like 8 years ago from session 4, you know? Yeah. And I think that's the approach I kind of want to take from now on. At least as far as my effort can take me, because it is a lot of effort coming up with shit like that. I mean, you could just reskin like a flame tongue or whatever. But still, you know? I want them to be... I want each magic item to have some sort of... Or at least each big magic item to have some sort of significance to the party. I mean, obviously there's the small stuff like the thing that gives you +1 archery, or the thing that gives you +1 AC, like a ring of protection or whatever, right? I mean, even then you could reskin that as, oh, my dead wife gave me this ring, it's a wedding band, and she protects me from beyond the grave, and that's why I have +1 AC, you know?
So wait, what you're saying is like a weapon should have, like it should signify an event, like, you know, as and when the party picked it up?
Yeah, I think magic items should have more significance to the party, you know, rather than just being extra
but
reward.
in campaign one we had items that we just picked up,
yeah,
but they were never. I mean, so what you're saying here, I'm failing to see the difference between us picking up a magic item in early campaign one, I should specify, and this campaign. Because like in early campaign one, they were just items that we picked up, like the bow.
Yeah.
The Snow's bow, that was just an item we picked up in the manor.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing like, okay, that was... I know when I picked that up, but I don't think anything more of when I picked that bow up. You know, there's no further significance other than, oh, I picked this up at the manor. The Guildford Manor or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I don't see the difference between that and what you're going for here.
Because this is unique in the fact that it is a unique magic item that you get from these guys called the toothpick, right? It's not just like longsword +1 longsword, you know? It's
so
it's
you're
specific
saying
to
you're
these
trying
guys.
You're trying to be okay. So you're trying to make very specific and unique magic items that wouldn't appear anywhere else, like one of a kind.
Yeah.
Type deal.
Yeah, like they're relevant to your guys' story. And they have and you look back on them and there's impact to it, you know?
Okay. I think I was trying to understand what you're trying to say here, but I think I get it. So it's like not so much the lore, or is there lore? You're not trying to put lore. You're trying to attach more lore to them, or less lore, or it's just you're making unique magic items. That's what you're going for.
I think it's more. I'm saying that the approach of just randomly handing out magic items for no real reason other than for there to be a reward at the end of X dungeon is what I did last time, and I'm sort of trying to change that, right?
Okay.
You still get shit, right? But at least it's not just randomly rolled off a loot table.
Okay.
And it actually it means something, right?
Okay. I think the meaning will come from, like, the players actually getting meaning out of it. Because if you had asked... I mean, it's a unique magic item, which is cool, that you made yourself, pretty much, from scratch. But I'm just thinking, like, if you had asked the party if that had meant anything to them...
No, it's not supposed to mean anything. Fucking, like, they're not gonna cry over it, right? But it's more like it's relevant to what happened during the time, and it's a relevant reward. You know, it's like the difference between going and saving a fucking extinct fire giant and getting cool holy weapon, and instead of getting his unique flame tongue that has a name and shit, right?
Okay.
That's the difference.
Okay. I got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't sound like you get it.
No, I got it. The distinction is, like, I'm seeing the distinction now. I think the way that you worded it just confused me a little bit. I was just trying to clarify. So we break down the dam from the Etten, who after he gives us the toothpick, actually the Etten pretty much does it himself, and everyone decides that they want to go for a log ride down the river.
Well, everyone except one boy.
Except Urugrim, who doesn't want to step in any body of water since the traumatic fishing trip that we had with Grandpa Dong all those years ago as kids.
Is that in canon? Is that his in canon reason, or is that your in canon?
I think he actually did say that. He did say that when we got to Asbjorn, he was like, "Yeah, I'm not stepping in any kind of water ever since the fishing trip." I think he actually said that.
Man, that fishing trip must have fucking sucked. Jesus Christ.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Bad fishing trip.
Yeah, one day we'll have a flashback episode where we figure out what the fuck happened. We'll see.
So we get to Asbjorn, who Lucian came up with a little scheme to share, quote unquote, the reward with him, and then we would bonk him on the head and turn him in, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
And there's a lot of banter in between when we give... Oh, just basically the start of the session and until we get to the town. Because I believe it takes us about an hour to an hour and a half to get to the town in session time, in real life time. Because there was just so much banter that was going on. Some of it's good, some of it's, I think, not so good in that it sort of goes around in circle and it loses value that way. Like, I think I would say good banter. I don't know. What am I trying to say here? I think the banter is good. I just think sometimes it can drag on a little bit, especially if it's going nowhere. There's sometimes I think there's like really good banter that is fun and adds to the world, like when the rich boys were talking to Crag about books and how the rich boys actually essentially have these like television holographic books which you open up and like pictures play and you basically watch the book instead of read the book, right? I think that was good because that added some flavor to the world.
Yeah. I agree, I think. Oh, actually, I'm kind of half a mind, right? Where while you say that there's a distinction between banter that builds the world and banter that is just banter, right? I think in regards to plot progression, they both sort of do nothing, right?
Yeah, they both hinder the plot progression.
Yeah. So I think in that aspect they're both negative, but honestly, I think my opinion regarding banter is that as long as everybody's having fun with it, right? I'm fine with it. Obviously, I think we talked about this a little bit, where once we actually have this end goal we're working towards, or a goal we're working towards, that stuff comes down in frequency, because you guys will be focused on something else and it'll be constant happenings, and there won't just be time for just like walking, just a shit talk. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's a balance to it. There's a balance to everything, and especially now that we have less frequent sessions, we have a monthly session essentially now. The story's going to move slower than ever, and with the amount of bands, especially in this session, the story's moving at molasses pace, glacial pace,
snail pace,
not very fast at all. So, it will take us until the next year to get to, I don't know, the next major plot point or something at the rate that we're going.
Okay, do you think
so
that... Oh, sorry, go. Sorry.
Go.
Do you think that more frequent sessions you'd have less of a problem with all the bants? Or would
yeah, because it balances out. Because it balances out, because you get to play more often, and there's more opportunity to progress the story that way. Whereas, quite simply, you don't play as often, you don't get to progress the story as quickly. It's already slow. Like, if we were just doing story stuff in comparison to campaign 1, it's already way slower. It's like, 3 times slower, 4 times slower, simply because of the infrequent sessions. And now that the party is bantering a lot more because we've, taken a new approach to party dynamics and stuff, which we should talk about, because there are certain players that are finding it difficult to mesh into the party. But yeah, more frequent sessions, it would probably balance it out a little bit, yeah.
I see. Okay, so like if the same thing would have happened over the course of, say, 1 month, and we had 4 sessions in that 1 month, it'd be fine. You'd feel fine about it?
Yeah, I think it would be fine, because especially it's the start of the campaign and we're still getting to know our characters. I think a lot of the bands sort of help develop and find our
helps
characters
build the
as we play them.
personalities, right?
Yeah, before we get stuck in. I just think because it's more infrequent, we're still pretending like it's a weekly thing, right? Or not, we're not pretending it's like it's a weekly thing, but we're just playing as per normal, as if it were a weekly thing. And it's unfortunately slowing everything down when the campaign's already pretty slow.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of get that, actually. Do you think that there should be overall changes to how we approach things now that it's a monthly thing? Do you think it being monthly should change the way we play?
I don't know. I've never played a monthly session, so I don't know what the proper approach to this is, but I think we should definitely be more wary about the time that we have to play D&D. And it is a lot more precious now that we don't get to have it as often.
That's true, and you want to make the most out of it as you can. Yeah. It's just trying to figure out what we value here, right? Like, do we value the bands and the overall fucking around, or do we value the narrative progression and stuff like that? And we see which one is worth more in the long run and what we'd like to put more time into.
This might have been fine in campaign 1, although I think campaign 1 was also like there was also some hitches in the progression there, especially in Huria. Like it meandered a bit in that arc, but I think pre-Huria, I think it was moving at a pretty good pace, and if we had sped that up a little bit, that might have been more suitable for a monthly campaign. But in that case, you sacrificed a lesser party dynamic, and here I feel like the party dynamic is definitely improved in some aspects, but because there's so much banter because of the new party dynamic, it doesn't suit well for the monthly sessions because there's just so much of it, right?
Damn. Yeah, you're right. Like as soon as we get a better thing going, we get less of it. We can't just win, can we? There's no winning. It's always a trade-off, huh?
There's always something to give.
Imagine if we had this party with a weekly session. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. It'd be lit. It would be lit. Earlier you said that you think that some characters may not actually fit into our party dynamic. Do you want to expand on that?
I didn't say that they didn't fit, but I think they have some difficulty trying to break into like established dynamics that the other players have made. And I think it might be because they're not confident in playing their characters. They don't really know who their characters are, or there's just not enough meat on the bone in terms of backstory to go off of. And who I'm referring to is the Angel Boys.
Angel Twins.
So Matt and AK's characters, I feel like they I think Matt is very a reactive player. Like you need to have stuff happen to him and then he can riff off that.
Yeah.
I think similar to Lachlan too. Like they're both very reactive players and they're not very proactive. I think AK is also still fairly new. I remember talking to him when we hung out on a weekend where he said, well, I asked him like, how did you think the new campaign's going? And he said to me that, well, I have very limited experience from campaign 1 and I have even less experience from campaign 2. And basically that means he doesn't know if it's better or not because he still has to see, he has to play more and has to see where it's going. And I was surprised by that because if you were to ask me, I would say it's definitely an improvement. Like I can see like a clear difference / improvement over campaign 1, but that just might be me. And I realized that not everyone holds the same opinion as me when it comes to the campaign. I think even you yourself said there was a clear difference that you were seeing in this campaign.
In regards to party dynamics?
Party dynamics, I'd say so.
Yeah, I honestly think it's much better. Obviously, there's always room for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think relative to last campaign, the banter is top tier. I think the banter just sort of builds on character personalities this time, and you're developing yourselves. And last campaign, it was just sort of generalities. Like you guys were just kind of talking about the overall situation and not about yourselves and what you think about, or about what your character thinks about the overall situation,
Yeah, and it doesn't feel as forced. It feels pretty natural.
Yeah. It's like
do it.
You guys have sort of found your footing, or at least you have. I think you guys have a better foundation this time, in order to react to all this stuff that's going on. And last time, maybe not so much.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't think that their characters just have enough to talk about to really get into these conversations, or do you just don't think what they have doesn't quite fit the current party dynamic? What do you think?
It's bit of column A, bit of column B,
Mm.
but it's also the players as well. I mean, like half the things that Uri and Leto talk about haven't existed until the session that they're talked about, like the stinky nutsack, the fishing trip, this antagonistic relationship between Grandpa Dong and Leto. Those are things that were just in the campaign. Like, we just started talking about them, and we started just, improving all that stuff in the campaign we made up, right? The only thing I think of significance that we talked about were, like, after we got revived from Zarum, Leto and Uri were talking about, like, their parents, their parental situation, and sometimes Uri likes to bring up something that Leto did in the past that he doesn't like to bring up. A possible destruction of property.
Yep, that's the one.
May or may not have happened. And I was gonna say, I had one more after that. The labors, the
soul labors,
the soul labors, the automatons infused with the souls of the enemies of Sophiso, which are essentially cyborg slaves.
Slave constructs.
Cyborgs? Yeah, slave constructs.
It's
a bit of a twist. On the old slavery concept.
Slavery with extra steps. I mean, yeah, because you're right in that a lot of it is improv, right? But like a lot of the stuff you guys talk, well, at least some of the stuff you guys talk about is also stuff from your backstory, like the labors and the explosion and stuff, right? Do you think that if Zeke and Lucian had stuff that intersected with their own backstories they could bring up and talk about? Like, remember that one war where we fought X people, and like that can relate?
Yeah, I mean,
to
it would definitely help, but I think that's not the entire solution to the problem.
You think it's just the proactiveness of them?
Yeah, I think it's the proper proactiveness and willingness to run with whatever comes up during the session. I mean, that's just the nature of improv. It's just running with things that you never expected to run with in the first place.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest tips maybe I could give for them is just to not be afraid to make up shit and have it become canon, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just be like, oh yeah, we had that one war with you guys talking about the soul labors, we actually fought a fucking war against them. And I killed like 30 of them, and now one of them is my super rival, and I see him like every 3 years, you know? We have a battle on X mountaintop, and we figure out which one of us is stronger, you know? Just random shit like that. Just fucking do it, right? And...
Another thing is, like, I think they had a good moment with Grandpa Dong when they were talking about some other mission that they did. Like, talk about what other missions did you guys do? You know, what other crazy shit did you do? Doesn't even have to be like cool epic shit. It can just be like the most mundane shit, like the nutsack thing, right? It's not only informs that Uri has a smelly nutsack, but it's also like they had sleepovers where that happened, right? Like, Leto and Uri, they're really good friends, and so they would have sleepovers, and they talk about like, hey, don't sleep with me again because your nutsack is smelly as shit. Or it's like, it's that's why you have the hole in your sleeping bag to air out your nutsack or something like that. It sort of gives you a wider picture. But it's like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, well, me and Uri, we stole the secret artifact from the this ancient tomb, and that, like, all this shit happened. No, it's just normal shit. Like, the fishing trip as well. The fishing trip is like, as far as anyone knows, it was just a normal fishing trip that went bad in some way. And we don't really know how it's gone bad yet.
Yeah. I love how the greatest example we can give is the smelly nutsack. It's the implication of what the smelly nutsack brings, you know? The sleepovers, the hole in the fucking sleeping bag, and stuff like that, you know? Like, it's just random, sort of memorable, unique stuff, right? That builds your character. And
because we're essentially best friends, so best friends don't always do the most epic shit. Sometimes you're just sitting around doing nothing, you know, just chatting or whatever.
Yeah. And do you think that because they have more of a serious backstory and more of a serious upbringing, that it sort of prevents the sort of weird, silly banter that two best friends that are dropouts, like college dropouts, would have?
Well, no, I think you can twist it into a way that can have the silly banter. I mean, if you've ever watched anything on like soldiers on the front line, like they get into all sorts of crazy shit, and they're in the middle of a war. They could get killed the next day. You know,
That's true.
there's humor everywhere you go, whether that's good or bad.
That's true. That's true.
So they could definitely have some funny, wartime stories where like, they had to, their shit pot got too full, so they had to sneak off and dig a hole and shit somewhere, and they got caught by someone or something like that.
They just throw it at the enemy, Chemical warfare.
They put it in a pot, yeah. Rave
Slung it
sickness.
over to the other side. Rave sickness. It's yeah. So what Kevin's essentially trying to say is that Matt and AK, step up your fucking game. Yeah, he's dropping bombs. You guys step up your roleplay game. That's what he's
I
saying.
didn't actually say
He's
that.
he's saying
I didn't
he's
say that.
better than both of you. He's saying that
I
even
didn't
if
say
he
that.
put himself together and you guys put your role-playing skills together, he would still destroy you guys in a 2v1
Even though
role-playing
that's
session.
true, but
That's
I didn't say that.
That's exactly what he's fucking saying.
I didn't
Step
say
it
that. I
up,
didn't even
boys.
mean to imply that.
Step it up. Same with you, Lockie. If you join that 2v1 on their side, you'd still lose. Step it up, reactive bitches. Yeah. Anyway,
I didn't say that.
that's exactly. Essentially, that's what he's saying. Be more proactive in your roleplay. Just jump in there, do some random shit. It'll help. It'll be fun. You know?
Speaking of Krona, he had a little moment with Asbjorn as we were walking back to town. And essentially Asbjorn is a half orc like him, maybe from the same area, we don't really know. But he was talking himself up, saying like, "Oh, I'm connected to the royal family, or like the top family in where he's from, the Amber Coasts."
Yeah, he's a branch member of the family that has the rune magic lineage, or that inherited the fire giant's rune magic.
Yeah, and I think, but he's kind of a fake because he's got armor and he's got a sword where the runes are just sort of like scratched on, or they're etched on. They're not proper runes, right? And when Krona shows his sword, it's like it's the real deal.
It's
Even
pristine.
the rich boys don't think. They don't think so because this was free, so you got it for free. So like, there's no value in it if you didn't pay for it.
Yeah, sorry, I just remembered the moment where Lockie sort of compared the giant's language that's inscribed onto Asbjorn stuff as, those really shitty tattoos, the Asian tattoos like white people get,
Yeah.
that are just of
Yeah,
absolute gibberish. Yeah, it's like it's like that, right? Yeah, and there's this obvious stark difference between this sort of wannabe who's trying his best to be as outstanding as as like royalty as possible, like trying to shine, and this super low key guy who's got some stuff going on in his backstory. He's got an idea. He's got some secrets he's holding back, right? And today he sort of, I think it was a really, really good opportunity for you guys to explore his mysteries, I guess. Like now you
see,
guys
but we
know
try to. We do try to.
Yeah.
There was a few attempts I made. Was like, hey, what's the deal? Why did you get kicked out, right? And like he said, oh, I stole something, but it never went further than that.
Yeah. And it turns out that at the end of the session, he's like, "Oh shit, I didn't actually steal something. I just left." Yeah. I think it's just the rust, the monthly rust you get on your backstories, but you don't actually remember what you did. Because I think canon-wise, or at least what's written in the backstory, is that he wasn't actually exiled. He just took something and left for X reason, for a mystery reason. And that's something you guys will just have to explore with each other. I don't know. I think I enjoyed it, but you have the opinion that I think you said something along the lines of, if I did that with Matt, it would be the same thing, and that Lockie wouldn't have that opportunity to sort of explore his backstory, right? It's not the same as being proactive.
I think that the situation would be flipped, essentially. So like, you'd have Matt, like exploring a little bit of his backstory, and then you'd have Lockie on the wayside, who is just waiting for stuff to happen to him in order to react, because he's not very active. It is known. He's not that proactive as the other players, so it'd be a bit more difficult for him to get some spotlight in.
Yeah. So, in essence, Kevin is better than all of you put together, and you guys should be more proactive in your roleplay. Is what he's saying.
But we've been saying that for a long time now, so obviously that advice is never going to sink in, or that advice is never going to sink in. So, it's just a little bit at a time. If it's difficult for you, then just take little baby steps. Try and jump in here and there. Don't have to change your whole personality overnight, over a month. You have a full month. You have a full month to prepare.
Nobody uses the full month to prepare. They use the last day to prepare, No one actually uses the full month to actually work on anything,
No, that's you.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. That's also me. But also, I think I think we should do online sessions again. I don't know what happened for it to be in-person sessions. I'm pretty sure we agreed that we were going to do 2 weeks online, 2 weeks offline, 2 weeks online, 2 weeks offline.
But the thing is, we haven't been able to get the 2 weeks because of extenuating circumstances. It's not
I'm
like we've
sure
been trying to
we can
avoid
find
online.
like 4 hours where everybody's at home for 4 hours, right? Right?
We did try a weekday session and found that was not optimal, because people had just come home from work, they're tired and all that.
You mean a weekday online session?
Yeah, in the afternoon or in the evening or something or other.
Yeah.
We did try that, if that's what you're implying.
Yeah, but then we didn't we have a weekday offline session? It was fine.
No, I don't think we did.
Wasn't it the last one?
It was.
Or was it a
no
weekend?
I mean, we have Fridays. We have Fridays, but
Yeah.
that's different because the next day is Saturday, so you can go a little late, and people can sleep in the next day. Whereas a weekday is.
Oh, you mean
can't
a
go
weekday?
as late because- Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's fair enough. But still, I'm sure we can find 4 hours.
All right,
3
hit him up.
hours.
Hit him up on the schedule.
Yeah, I'm calling
Hit 'em up.
everyone out. I'm calling everyone out.
No. You hit him up on the. You hit him up on the schedule. Not everyone listens to the.
No,
podcast.
everyone listens to the podcast. It's a popular podcast. Everyone in the world listens to the podcast. Everyone loves this podcast. They're gonna hear it. As long as I shout loud enough, they'll hear it. So if you're fucking out there, just fucking put just online session, just every 2 weeks online session, and then offline session, please. Kevin's hungry. I'm hungry. I want to do it.
I'm not that hungry. I've accepted.
Kevin, huh?
What we've become.
No, you were on the other bandwagon where it was weekly session. No, let's bring it back.
Yeah,
Let's bring it back.
Then I had a change of heart.
Let's bring it back.
And I realized that you can't always get what you want.
No.
People have lives outside of D&D.
You need to fight for what you want.
Adults now.
You can't just accept what's going on. You can't be reactive to
early
the
to
world. Be
mid-twenties,
proactive, like in D&D.
Some of us are
proactive.
entering our late 20s soon.
Chase the good feeling.
It's only going to get harder and harder and harder, and people have some big things going on.
The only thing I'm hard for is D&D.
You can't really change that. Is that really? You just said that?
Rock hard. Huh?
You just said that? Hey, Matt?
So what?
You just said that.
So what?
You just said that.
What did I just say?
Anyway.
What did I just say?
We can't have the weekly session
anyway.
anymore. We can't have the fortnightly session.
Give me the fortnightly. Give me the fortnightlies. Come on. I'm itching my inner elbow right now. Just give me it. Just fucking inject it into my veins, Shit. I find it harder to prepare for monthly sessions than I do for weekly sessions, right? Because for weekly sessions, it's all right. Wednesday, Thursday, I'll write enough for the session, right? And this one, I'm just oh fuck, the session's on it's in 3 tomorrow. I'm oh shit, I think I prepare more for weekly than I do for monthly, I don't know.
Okay, but that's
I think it's a schedule
that's
thing.
a you problem. That's a you problem.
Yeah, I'm making it an us problem. It's an us problem if it affects the campaign, so it's an us problem, okay? Bi-weekly.
Okay,
fortnightly.
if it's an us problem, just force them to come weekly.
You just force them?
Just force them.
How do you
Yeah,
force them? How do you force them?
Threaten
What am
to
I
kick them
holding
out of the
message here?
campaign if they don't come.
Oh, that's
Their
fucked.
ability
That's
to play
so
D&D at all.
fucked.
Yeah,
That's mega
yeah.
fucked.
Yeah, you don't have
Goddamn.
you don't have the stones for it. You don't have the stones for it, so don't complain.
I really don't.
Just accept your fate.
I really don't. I had a hard enough. Never mind. Anyway, go back to the recap. There was the moment where we explore some of Kronar's backstory with Asbjorn, and then Asbjorn gets his fucking ass beat by getting bonked on the head with a frying pan noise. You guys take him back to town. You meet up with the Elder and Grandpa Dong, and they have a little some going on, you know, a little spice, a little bit of a sexual tension between the two, right? Like they just fucked, you know. They've been doing stuff. Anyway, and Grandpa Dong is like, well, you guys are back. That's good. I just got leads for this new stuff. Oh shit, I forgot. As you guys were looting Asbjorn, you find that he has this letter, right? This sealed envelope, and next to the envelope is this mask, like a masquerade mask that is this in the shape of an owl, and it's got these adorable, adorned sapphires embedded into its silvery, gilded crust, you know. And Crag immediately takes this liking to it. He's like a vulture for shiny things, apparently. I don't know. He puts it on, and you guys open this envelope, and it's fucking blank. For 5 out of 6 people, it's blank. It's just this white sheet of parchment paper. But Crag, he looks at it, and it says, congratulations on being invited to Auction 75. Note that the mask and envelope are only for one entrant, or something along the lines of that, right? And it's got a date on the bottom, like the 10th of the 3rd, 78, I believe is the year or something. And it's like, oh shit, what the fuck is this? And you guys are like, I can't see anything, blah blah blah. And then he gives you the mask, I give someone else the mask, and they read it, and it's like, oh shit, Auction 75. And it's got, oh wait, I forgot, it's got a riddle on it. It's got a fucking riddle on it, right? And essentially the riddle is a clue to where the auction is being held. And you guys are like, oh shit, okay. And immediately as you get to town, Lockie asks the correct question. He's good at the riddle stuff. I don't know. He asked the correct question, and he's like, all right, any fine wineries around? Like, is there a winery town? And the guy's like, yeah, the town of Bleakburn, down that way. It's like a 2 days journey or something, or a day's journey. And that's wink wink, haha. And so you guys get back to town, you hand in Asbjorn, and the grandpa's like, hey, I got one of those letters too. Isn't that crazy? That's wild. And the elder's like, oh, good job on catching that fucking asshole who stole all our bread. Grandpa's like, ew, I fucking hate bread. Anyway, elder's like, well, I don't really have much to give you, but here is this tome of magic shadow spells given to us by a traveler a long, long time ago. My great-grandfather gave this to us. He went by the name of Shadow Sword, and he wrote down all these spells that have to do with shadows in this book. I don't know if we were going to give it to the Magic Academy, but I met that Corbin asshole, and I don't want to give it to him. He goes, hoo. So I didn't want to give it to him. So here's the book, and here's... Yeah. And here's a scepter. A rod of the Pact Keeper. He gave this to us too, but you guys can have it. It's yours. And it turns out that's something like warlocks can use, so that's AKs. So AK, we got both the toothpick and the rod in the same sesh. He got fucking decked out. And the book is like, everyone's like, oh, you can't really learn spells from a book unless you're a wizard. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, we have a wizard. I'm sorry, Aiden.
Yeah,
I forgot. That's on me. That's on me.
Ruined the mystery of why Aiden's
just metagame. Just
on this
metagame
funky shit. Yeah, but it's not as good. It's not as good. So
metagame it. Look, with monthly sessions,
that was gonna be
with monthly
like
sessions, they'll forget anyway.
I know he was planning something like a cool reveal with that. That would have been cool. So looking forward to that. But
they can still be a cool reveal.
It's wrecked.
They can still be a cool reveal.
It's all wrecked, and we're reminding them that this happened, so they'll double it.
It's okay. They don't listen to they don't listen to the podcast anyway. No one listens to this podcast. It's the worst podcast in the world.
Oh, I thought they did. I thought you said
no one in the world listens. We get like less than 5 viewers, and it's usually just me.
I mean,
listen to it 5 times.
At least the party listens to it. So
no, they don't even listen to it. No, they don't listen to it either.
I mean, who doesn't miss a chance to get into some exclusive gossip about themselves, right?
All of them.
I mean, this is why we make the podcast. We make it for them. We can talk about them behind their backs, but
only
they're actually
Aiden listens to it, so he's the only one that's going to be like, he's going to listen to my apology.
So it's like we're all in the same room, and it's just us two talking, and they're just sitting there watching us talk about them right in front of their face.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny.
It's like we can talk shit about them, and they can't do shit about it, you know? Drop bombs, and they can't fire back.
It's all within good reason, though. It's all within good fun.
Yeah, good fun. I'm not just venting my misery onto these people. Not at all.
Anyway, it might become a fortnightly session, so they'll definitely remember it. You know?
No.
You said you were going to make them...
it's a monthly session anyway. So maybe it's every 2 months now, you know? Like, no one's going to remember anything about it.
Oh, you want to play less?
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe we should play less, you know? Maybe we should play less. Yeah. Anyway, you guys are like, let's get fucking drunk. At least Craig is. So he goes to the wine house. He goes to the ale storage, and there's a guy gardening. He's like, yo, can we get some ale? Because the elder said we could get some ale. And the guy's like, no. But he's like, oh, wait, are you guys the guys that restored our river? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, all right, just fucking take all of it. So you guys take all of it. You get to go back to your room in the elder's house. You're all sleeping in the same room. There's a nice cozy fire going. And you guys start drinking away, and Grandpa knocks on the door. He's like, hey, here's 5 earmuffs. So just figure it out. I'll be next door with the elder, so you know what's gonna go down. So you just cover your ears, you know. So, and he looks out for his grandkids, you know. He doesn't want to make hell for them. So he's looking out for you guys. And so
but
you
he
guys,
gives us 5. Yeah, it's cruel. It's cruel.
He has 5.
What he's doing.
Yeah, and you guys have to fight over the 5, right? And you guys do it over dice rolls. Whoever gets the highest on a d20 on the pig knuckle dice gets to have earmuffs. And the only person who didn't get it was
Zeke, I think. It was Zeke. He didn't get it. Oh no, it was
wasn't it Yuri?
Probably Yuri. That's right. That's what you get. That's the trade-off for having god-awful, smelly nutsack. And he closed the window. He closed the window in the room. So it was just, we were sweltering in there. It was like a sauna.
It's disgusting.
The coals.
It smells fucking awful in there.
The worst. Anyway.
And then Grandpa's like, comes back. Hold on. Grandpa comes back. Wait, he's like, knock, knock.
Again.
Yeah. He's like, knock, knock. And by the way, don't spill anything on that letter we got. Wink, wink. Haha. And he's like, alright, I'm gonna go fuck. And he leaves again. And you guys are like, well. Let's see what happens when you put some ale on it, and it starts to dissolve into this blue magical mystical energy that lights up the room in this blue shades. And as you guys look at it, it's like the movie picture books you guys are talking about. It's a hologram. It's a blue hologram of this man who has a white owl tattoo on his lower abdomen, and he's showcasing all these auction items, right? All these beautiful auction items. You got stuff like the 3rd hair picked off a mythical 9-tailed fox, a thunder dragon's whisker, a far stone from Shadowfell, a horn from a greater devil, and 8
not
ingots.
A demon.
No, not a demon. A devil. And 8 ingots of winter steel, with a bonus of a platform saddle.
They just took the platform saddle. They don't even sell it. It's a bonus. It's just ridiculous. Oh, that's actually reminds me of something. We did have like a moment with Lucian. We were trying to explore. Like, we were like, "Hey, you guys aren't humans. You're freaking liars.
Oh yeah,
you got wings and shit. What the hell's going on there?"
Yeah.
And I remember AK like. I know it was AK, it was like more Lucian, who was like, there's a distinction between angels and devils and demons. You know, you don't ever call me a, was it a demon or a devil?
Demon.
because his dad was a tiefling who had abyssal origins, and his
lineage.
mom was an angel.
Yeah, he's got that birthright going on. He's got that sick genetic family. But he's also
Matt just hits us with the I'm an orphan line. I'm an orphan.
He said something. Oh my god, he said something and that just made me fucking crack up. Like, I think someone was talking about how, like, they're lonely, or like they know sadness or something. He's like, oh yeah, I know sadness too, because I'm an orphan. I was like, what? Oh man, I really want to see more of Zeke's backstory.
Yeah, see, there's some good stuff there, you know.
There is some really interesting stuff.
There's some backstory stuff that would help, like you said, it would help, and that's an example of how it helps. Yeah. But it's also
he just doesn't talk about
the other side of it. Well, we don't talk about that.
He
Hey,
doesn't talk
remember
about
do you remember Tokel's hammer, divine wind of the saving grace, executioner of the damned? I just totally
divine light,
that.
executioner of the wicked. Yeah,
That's
I remember.
Remember how we like didn't know that existed until like session 45 or something?
You gotta talk about it. You gotta talk about your backstories. You gotta be involved and proactive about talking about how cool your character is and their origins and shit. You know? Otherwise,
also,
no
like,
one's gonna know.
What other stuff did they do? Just random stuff, you know? It just helps build the character. They're not always full of epic moments. Sometimes they shit the bed or something, yeah? You're out for a walk and you shit yourself. Yeah?
Huh?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No one's done that in this call. That's for sure.
I've done that.
Anyway. Yeah, like they have this cool unique thing between their duo where like they have a tally of how many times they've saved each other's lives. That hasn't come up. Like, they could have talked about it when they died, you know? Like, oh shit, I guess we don't have to put a tally on this one, you know? Like, give me stuff like that. That'd be fucking sick. I'd come over that, you know? Shit.
Maybe we need to like send out like, hey, the session's coming up, you know, if there's anything, make sure you guys have a quick look of your backstory if you guys are rusty, so we can be all fresh and prepared for this session.
Yeah,
maybe we need to have something like that.
You gave me that good tip that other time where you should sort of prepare players for stuff they might encounter that has to do with a backstory, right? Like,
or just a roleplay moment. You know, it doesn't have to be a backstory thing.
Yeah, I talked to AK about some of his backstory stuff, and it came up this session, and it made sense, and it's good. It worked. But also, everyone else be proactive. Like, you shouldn't need reminders to know your backstory, you know? Like, to just to know your character inside and out and be able to sort of play him.
Yeah, and also the more you do it, the easier it becomes. I think I've parroted that like 5-6 times now, but it's hard at first, but once you get into it, you have more fun, so it gets easier. You know, it's less fun not doing anything.
Yeah. So let's hear more about Zeke and Lucian's backstory. Let them shine through their characters. Let me see what they got. Let me see if they.
But it's also a beta
that.
session.
Huh?
It's also a beta session, so things can change. So if you feel like things are not working, or you need to swap something out, or you need to add something in, you know, it's a beta session.
Yeah.
Everyone that goes with everyone, you know. Beta session.
Yeah. Change your backstory. You can if you want. Sure, go for it. Yeah, go for it. Beta session doesn't matter. We can change canon. Canon doesn't exist. I do retcons all the fucking time. Well, not all the time, but I did that one massive retcon. Still, it worked out. We're good. Change shit. Doesn't matter. Beta session. Don't feel like you're cemented into this one character you made. You can change him. You can change completely. It can be a woman now, who isn't any of these things. You know, and just anything. Do it.
I mean, Zeke did like big change because his backstory.
That wasn't on purpose.
Yeah, no, but it's a beta session, so.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Zeke tree lover.
On purpose, but a tree lover Zeke.
Yes, sir. All right. Yeah. Anyway, you guys spill the thing, and you guys are like, oh shit, we gotta go to the town of Bleakburn now to go to that auction and get our winter steel and that platform saddle back. You know? And that's where the session. Actually, no. there's some midnight stuff that goes on where Crag
Yep.
goes out and he goes and finds a smithy. He knocks on the smithy's door and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna use your smithy. Here's a gold." And the guy's like, "All right, fine, fuck off." And so Crag's like, "All right, I'm drunk. I'm gonna try and smith something." So he smiths like a saddle, like a metal seat for
Some
Kronos'
sort of
back,
attachment. Yeah. That also flips over into like a helmet.
like a visor, where you like
Full on, like a helmet
just
that
get
has
the
a butt
whiff of
sweat in it.
the butt sweat and the nutsack. Delicious, absolutely delicious. Anyway, he does that, and he activates rage to get to sober himself up a bit, and he teleports around the forge, and he's fucking making this thing. It's great. It's beautiful. Comes out pretty good. Comes out pretty fucking good. And then he gets off his high, and he's drunk again, and he encounters a little girl who's holding like a teddy bear, and he's like, he tries to shake her hand, and then she just starts crying, and he's like, "Oh, well, whatever, rude," and he walks back to the inn.
What's she doing? What's she doing at like 3 a.m. in the morning? What's a little girl doing out?
She
like,
got
at
she
that
got
time
woken
of
up
day?
by the forge. She lives there. She's like, who's forging? Daddy forging right now?
Oh,
You
so
know,
she
that's
shouldn't
not
go
daddy.
outside. It's dangerous. It's dangerous to go outside.
No, it's not. They
Middle
got
of the
the homes are wooded for monsters, so they're cool.
Yeah, but not the outside of it though. She was like outside, right?
Yeah,
The forge
I
was,
assume
like,
it's like I
outside.
assume it's like an aura, you know, that emanates, that has like that makes a little barrier around the town, you know.
Yeah, where are her parents though? We're letting her walk outside like that.
Yeah, it's a nice town. It's a peaceful town. Peaceful. Nothing going on here. Anyway, Yuri sneaks off with the shadow book, and he's like, "How do I learn this shit?" And then we're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, there's like a 200 gold cost associated with learning spells." He's like, "Oh fuck." And he's like, "Well, I'm not learning his spells tonight." So he goes back to the room. He closes the window, and he takes off his pants and climbs into the bed with Leto. And you guys sleep in Nutsack City, you know?
That's where the session ends.
Pretty much,
we
yeah.
wake up and then we're going to set off. We're going to set off to the Bleak Burn.
Next destination. I'm
Next
excited.
month.
Mm-hmm.
Next month.
Oh, huh? Next month?
Yeah.
You mean next 2 months?
Yeah, we gotta put in a scheduling call.
Or next 2
We'll
weeks.
see when we can play. No, we won't be able to play next 2. 'Cause I think next week is no go because people are out.
I mean, the week after,
that,
I'm in Melbourne.
After that is
For the
like
Friday.
also no go because it's like Easter as well. So
Oh yeah, and
we're out.
after
So that's
that,
the next.
yeah.
That's next 2 weeks is gone. Maybe in 3 weeks time. Maybe.
Maybe, perhaps, maybe. We'll see. Anyway, anything else you wanted to say about this one? Oh, is there other stuff we want to talk about?
Yeah. So like, how do you think the beta set? Wait, did we already talk about that? The beta session? How that's going so far?
I mean, we
That-
meme
that's
about it
working
all
out.
the time, but
But how do you actually think that's going?
how do I actually think about it? Like the beta session or campaign 2?
I'd say both, really.
Okay. I think that, like I said before, the overall party dynamics are much more fluid, and I'd say the banter is much more enjoyable than it was in campaign 1. I think the characters are maybe not as deep as they could be yet. Obviously, it's only session 4, and you haven't had a chance to fully explore how deep your characters go and all their little ticks and quirks that you guys could come up with. I want to say that I really like, because Yuri has like this deep-seated fear of large bodies of water, and really any body of water, right? I think that stuff is great. I think that stuff builds your character, even though it's not completely like relevant to your backstory or anything. I think it's really, really cool. I think maybe more characters should have stuff like that. And are you sort of flip-flopping on one of these things?
Yeah, I think need to work on it. It's also like it's hard to do it. Like I think that thing works better if that was something I had been doing from the start, but I forgot about it, and it just felt really awkward for me
to like
start doing
reinsert it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
beta
and
session.
especially
Beta
after,
session.
especially after we basically murdered a bunch of hobgoblins, and I would imagine that was pretty bloody too. So yeah, have to work on it. Maybe I'll try something else instead of that that thing
Yeah.
you were trying before.
It's beta session. You can just add in character quirks whenever you want. As
Yeah.
far as
Props to Aiden though for doing that, which came out of something that we made up in improv as well, the fishing trip.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's like in his backstory, he's always had that I was gonna say hydrophobia. That's not the right word.
Oh, he's always had
Thalassophobia.
that?
Yeah, he's always had the fear of water. Cause he's a small boy.
Didn't you make that a rule? I think remember when we were making the
Knives?
characters, like you need to make them have like at least a fear of something
Yeah, well,
or a
just
negative trait.
it was like just knives, and that could be one of them could be a negative trait or fear of something. And most people didn't have that fear, so they had something else, right? So maybe it's a better thing to have that fear of something. We shall see. As far as the overall narrative goes, I'm so happy that we have the meme beta session stuff, because I can just say like, hey, what do you guys what do you guys think of what we're currently doing right now? What should we go with this hobgoblin shit, or should we just go do something else, right? Because usually I'd be pretty like sheltered or protective of what's gonna happen next. But now I'm just like, fuck it. You guys want to do some hobgoblin shit or nah? And you guys were like, nah. And I'm like, oh fuck, that was what I was gonna plan to do. So let me change this. And so I changed it, and I think it's for the better. You think so?
I think that's a good principle to follow, just even without the beta campaign label. Just asking the players what they want to do. I think that was good.
Yeah, because I think
And
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I'd be fine with you doing that if that were just a normal like if you were gonna do that in campaign 1, I'd be fine with doing that.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Makes me more excited because we're more likely to do something that we
Yeah, doing something you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so simple, but I just didn't do it for some dumb reason, and now I do, and it's great, and it's wonderful. And now you guys are chasing the platform saddle. Not really the winter steel, but mostly the platform saddle, I think.
Well, that later's chasing the platform saddle because it doesn't make any sense why they would take that in the first place.
Yeah.
And then, not sell it, not even sell it for any monetary value, just give it away for free. And giving away for
It's a
free or
package
receiving
deal.
things for free, that is like sacrilege from where later's from.
Oh. Yeah.
It has value, so therefore you should at least make some money off of it.
Yeah. 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 I guess there is a little bit of a drop in immersion when we say stuff like you can change your character as much as you want because of beta session.
Definitely.
But I think it's worth it. I'm pretty sure the trade-off is it definitely outweighs any sort of immersion drop, right? Because eventually Sorry?
Eventually
things are gonna even out, and you guys will be comfortable with your characters, and there won't be as many changes, and the immersion will settle back in, right? This is just a really good reason for you guys to figure out what you guys want to play, and how it fits with everyone else, and it's gonna be great. I think it's good.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to be aware of, is that nothing's set in stone right now. It is a beta session, so you can change a lot or change a little, or not change at all. But the thing you got to know is you can change, and that's huge.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll ever leave the beta session label? Do you think we'll ever graduate to like a full release?
I meme about hitting like the end of the campaign where everyone's level 20 and you beat like gods and shit, and then that's when we start the campaign. Like that's the meme answer, but I think in reality there will be a point where I'll probably ask you guys individually if you guys are comfortable with your character and you would be comfortable with not making any further like retroactive changes to your backstory, and as long as everybody's okay with it, then we will graduate from beta into full game release, no more early access.
I do appreciate the flexibility, so maybe when we do graduate to the full release, like we can still be more flexible than we were in campaign 1, not be so stringent with like glaring things that we would probably be better off to retcon or change.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But like obviously not being as liberal as we are right now because it's beta session. But maintaining some flexibility there doesn't hurt.
That's true. That is true. So maybe we'll just go to Maybe we'll just keep it. We'll just keep it in beta for the rest of the fucking campaign. Who knows? Who knows?
Maybe we start calling it alpha, and then we go to beta.
Oh yeah. We're in alpha right now, then we go to beta, and then it's for release.
Campaign 2 alpha, then campaign 2 beta.
Yeah, 0.1. Yeah, I think the whole beta stuff is actually it opens up so much in terms of freedom in how we approach things. And I think it's a really, really good addition to what we have currently.
Do you think it would have been better if we started campaign 1 off, like hindsight 2020, do you think it would be better if we started campaign 1 off with a beta session?
No. I don't think it would have changed anything. Purely because we had no idea what we were doing at that point, and we had no idea what we wanted from D&D at that point.
Mm-hmm.
That a beta session would just, it wouldn't do anything. Because we wouldn't know what to change to make stuff better, you know? Yeah. I think campaign 1 was a necessary experience to have a better campaign 2. Even though it probably didn't end the way we wanted it to.
All of campaign 1 was a beta session in preparation for campaign 2.
Campaign 1 was campaign 2 alpha.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. This is campaign 1. You're right. Yeah, all of season 1 podcast, that doesn't exist. That's 0.1, season 0.1.
It's campaign 0. Campaign 0. You know how anime always has like a episode 0?
Oh, yeah.
Or Fate 0, you know, it's a prequel.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because it's set in the future, you know, and there might be maybe no cameos, but, you know, there may be little references here and there, you know.
There is a reference. I mean, Maple's in it, briefly. He was mentioned.
I mean, Maple wasn't mentioned, but someone.
And he was old. He was old too, so that makes this really far in the future.
Yeah,
really far.
Yeah, maybe everyone's dead. You know, everyone's dead. Or
He's
maybe.
old.
Oh yeah. Maybe he just looks old. You know, maybe he was just wearing old makeup. You know.
Possibly. Do elves live forever?
No.
In your world?
No. That's
live for a
Lord
long
of the
time.
Rings. Yeah, it's a long time. I think it's 1,000 years.
So it's almost 1,000 years. Damn, it's way far in the future.
Yeah, Snow could still be alive, but everyone else is dead. Maybe everyone went into cryogenic sleep, and you guys will re-emerge as warriors. You know. Maybe continent Cardinalis is just Axia that's been rearranged. Huh?
Oh, it's like a Pangea event.
Yeah.
Broke up and reattached together.
Yeah, a meteor hit. Anyway.
No, that's lame.
Huh? Oh, yeah, I wasn't planning to do that anyway. Yeah, not me. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't implement lame ideas like that.
I wouldn't mind Axia references though. I don't mind that.
Of course you wouldn't mind it. Of course you wouldn't mind it.
Because it's in the same world. I'd like that to make it feel like it's connected.
Yeah. Maybe one day you'll find an ancient hammer that was used by an old dragonborn king who conquered the lands. One of the greatest kings of all time.
Of the Ivory Vale, the Tux.
An ancient land called the Ivory Vale from a land far, far away has made its way here. And it's like in like a bargain bin shop, like in like a market stall, you know? Yeah. Who knows? Maybe not. But probably yes.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Are you about to say something?
No. I'm good. I'm just excited now.
Okay. You're excited.
Yeah. Every time I have a podcast, I'm just more excited for the next session.
All right. Stay excited for the next 3 weeks.
Huh?
4 weeks.
It'll be gone by then. It only lasts like 2 weeks.
All right. Season 2, episode 4. Campaign 2. Forever. I'll see you guys later.
Bye.